Which spy is on whose side? Who gives a shit? Which spy is on whose side? The 355's a miss. It's also written and directed by Simon Kinberg. And if Simon Kinberg sounds familiar, well, he directed X-Men Dark Phoenix, so you know it's going to be good. No, it's not. If it's not any clear indication right there, I did not like this movie at all. It's also streaming on Peacock. It's on the cock. Basically, a brief history of this movie. I don't actually know how long it took to film this. I can't imagine, though, that this went through a lot of rewrites. Odd, though, considering two people actually had something to do with the writing. Simon himself, he wrote XXX State of the Union, X-Men The Last Stand, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Jumper, because it's 11:30 and there's Jumper. We didn't get a sequel, thank fuck for that, because Samuel L. Jackson was the best part of that. I'm going to ruin more songs during this review because, well, he also directed the 2015 Fantastic Four movie, and nothing was going to save that. Nothing. Absolutely nothing was going to save that movie. So, with all those credentials, there's no way that this movie could be anything except completely baffling. But let's look at the other writer, Teresa Redbeck. She did something called Gossip, and she also did the story for the 2004 Catwoman movie. This movie is fucking doomed. It was doomed well before we saw they had a January 7th release date, and was already out on streaming by January 27th. It was already on streaming by that point, not even 3 weeks after it was out in theaters. And it's now on the cock! So you can stream the 355 on the cock. If you're streaming 355 from your cock, that's a serious medical condition. Please consult your doctor immediately. So I'll get into spoilers a little bit later, but basically take every spy cliche, human centipede them together, make it worse, blend it with shit, and blend it with some of the worst fucking dialogue and some of the most stilted acting and some of the most stilted action scenes you've ever fucking seen. I thought the Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel was bad. At least that got over quickly. It was barely a movie, but while that movie was absolute dog shit, I think the 355 replaced it because it was infuriating. Now, granted, with spy movies, you don't really expect much. And you can't really expect much now because you can't reinvent the wheel. One, the James Bond movies have done that. Maybe we'll get a female James Bond, and hopefully we get that because maybe it'll take it in a new direction. And maybe we'll get something good there because what we got here certainly wasn't even as good as the Charlie's Angels movies that Drew Barrymore, Lucy Liu, and Cameron Diaz were in. And I hated those movies. Now, they are pseudo-guilty pleasures, but the 2019, Charlie's Angels movie that wasn't great somehow was better than this. And that movie is a fucking mess that made absolutely no goddamn sense. It was incoherent and ridiculous, but at least it has a certain charm to it. This movie it's like every bit of life and nuance was sucked out of it to the point that I actually split this, watching this in, between 2 days, because I watched it before I had to do a bunch of stuff yesterday and then decided to finish the rest off today after work. And I'm like, maybe I'll be in a better mood. I was halfway through the movie and was like, man, I still have like 50-something minutes left of this movie. Well, it can't be that bad. And it keeps getting worse. The plot, such as it is incomprehensible yet also really simple. Basically, everybody's looking for a hard drive. This hard drive that has been designed, it has all these fail safes and everything. Nobody can copy it. It's this one hard drive and it can bring down airplanes and everything or whatever. So if you've got a fear of flying, like Vitamin C once said, man, then bye. Watch these spies converge on you, and basically you don't know who's good or evil. You might as well just go in. Oh, I don't even know. But this movie could have been so delish, except it was such a bitch. That's all I'm going to say right there. Told you I was going to ruin more songs there. So, again, the plot, such as it is, involves everybody and their goddamn mother and seemingly their dog going after this hard drive in convoluted, contrived, ridiculous ways. That it's just a collection of spy cliches and scenes, and they somehow try to weave a narrative where it's like, oh yeah, we have this person betraying this person, but this person really isn't dead, or this person is dead, or this person's allegiances are over here, but now they're here, and then they're soon going to be over here, and then they're soon going to be in the fucking dirt, which is where everybody who funded this movie should be, in the dirt, buried Scorpion King style, or maybe buried like, Sleepaway Camp with the 2 or 3 that had that happen. That's what should happen. Everybody that had anything to do with funding this and creating this should be brought up on criminal charges for crimes against Hollywood. Now, I know that studios are just bound, determined to make movies and whatever. They don't care if it turns a profit. This movie made $27 million worldwide. I know that some theaters are shut down and everything, and people aren't necessarily going to movies as much, though, that Spider-Man No Way Home, or was it No Way Home? The new Spider-Man movie made a whole lot of money. The new Batman that's coming out in just a little bit will likely make a whole lot of money. Not that this movie was ever going to make a boatload of cash, but sweet Christ, $27 million for this. And it looked really cheap, while also you could realize just looking at the cast and just the action scenes alone, you're like, they spent money on this, and this is the best they could fucking do. I haven't even gotten to the cast. So we got Jessica Chastain, who has been in some good stuff. She was also in Mama, which was actually pretty good until the weird ending. I'm going to retro-review that at some point. Diane Kruger, who looks fucking amazing for 45, 46. Doesn't look like she's aged at all since the National Treasure movies. Penelope Cruz, who seems to be sleepwalking through her role. Lupita Nyong'o, who is way too good for this material. She was in Us. She was in 12 Years a Slave. Lupita Nyong'o is tremendous. You also have Bing Bing Fan, who, if you read up on her or whatever, she's part of the reason why The King's Daughter, that is another movie that just got released, was in development hell or just sat on the shelf after being filmed, filming was complete in 2015. She's a beautiful woman. She's just not very smart with paying her taxes, allegedly. And also Jason Fleming's in this. Why? Because Jason Fleming needed a paycheck. Also, there's a bunch of other people in this that, I recognize and couldn't really tell you if you actually held $1 million in front of me. Oh yeah, that person, they were in this movie. And I could be right, I could be wrong. I don't really give a shit because this movie is absolute trash. One of the worst things that I've seen in about the last 5 to 10 years. It isn't as bad as Ballistics X versus Sever, because nothing can be that bad when it comes to assassins, spies, and that kind of stuff. But everybody that, you think this person has this, they establish this quick character narrative, and then suddenly they change this, and then everybody's going after this hard drive, and then people are betraying each other, but then the people that betray one another come back together, and these women band together and, have to take down these dastardly people and get this hard drive back before planes start falling out of the sky, and please help me, I'm falling, and doing all this, and you Final Destination 1 this bitch, where everything explodes over France. Wait, no, it was a flight going to France. I'm sorry. This movie is a mess. It's a mess, and it makes no sense while simultaneously trying to make sense. And just so many of the action scenes. Like Jessica Chastain at one point, her character is pursuing Diane Kruger's character along some subways and everything in Paris. And the fact that neither of these women break a nail or anything or whatever, they just are perfectly fine. They're getting through all this, bad special effects stuff because nobody really believed that they were in any kind of danger. Everybody that seems like, they're at odds with each other. These women have to come together and do this shit, but then they're unlikely allies that don't want to trust each other, and then they suddenly have to trust each other because they all have people back home that could possibly be affected. One has a family, Penelope Cruz's character. Lupita Nyong'o has a boyfriend. Mace, aka Jessica Chastain's character, doesn't have anybody except her friend, her best friend that was part of her, that was on this operation in Paris, and then suddenly he ends up dead. So she's got revenge on her goddamn mind. So one of her bosses, or maybe not her boss, somebody that's a higher up tells her, hey, you go off and do this stuff or whatever, retrieve the hard drive, you can do whatever. How did this hard drive get created? Some Colombia drug lord in Bogota had a son that was good with technology and made this thing. Why? I don't fucking know. He didn't know. The director didn't know. The writer didn't know. Wait, the writer and the director are the same fucking person, so of course they didn't know. Universal Studios didn't care. They're like, yeah, great. We have these women, these attractive women. Let's just get them in there and let's just do that. They have name value. This will be enough to sell the movie. No, it fucking won't. It's Charlie's Angels with all the brain power taken out. And for clarity, Charlie's Angels didn't have a lot of brains behind it, to be fair. Okay, so let's talk more about the plot. Oh wait, there's not really much to talk about with the plot because people keep betraying each other, doing contrived action scenes. We see these women band together and do this stuff, and they're suddenly in these scenes. No explanation about how they got there, how they managed to infiltrate that stuff. It's just because they're attractive and smart. And sometimes that's all you need. And I don't mind them doing a woman's, centered spy movie, because Charlie's Angels and all that other stuff, but you didn't need to make something this bad. This is not giving me hope that any movie that, comes after this with, women in the lead or whatever is going to be treated with any kind of respect, because they're going to say, oh yeah, we saw the 355. It's really goddamn dog shit. We're not going to give this a chance. They could be the greatest goddamn thing since sliced bread, or the second greatest thing since sliced bread. Maybe you could put butter on that bread. Maybe you could put butter on the floor, and the next person that comes up with anything like the 355 can slip and maybe, get some sense knocked into them. Or an ice pick. I don't really care. This movie, shit. It's dog shit. It's some of the most cliche bullshit wrapped into a goddamn movie that simultaneously gets rushed and stretched out. It's baffling. It's incomprehensibly incoherent, maddening, and stupid. I couldn't believe that something was this goddamn stupid. It's like everybody's just we need to add an action scene. Let's just have the women shoot people. Why? Who are these people? We don't know. We don't care. Oh, here's this person that we thought was evil, but they're not so evil all of a sudden. And now this person that is evil is more evil. Or maybe they're not. Maybe they're here. Maybe they're going to go over here. Maybe they're going to be a space alien from Pluto. We don't care. In fact, that might have made it actually better if they suddenly revealed and they had like weird tentacles and everything. And they were doing that or whatever. Maybe they were like Zoidberg. Zoidberg running this. You all have Zoidberg. You all have Zoidberg. Okay, that's the last impression I'm going to break out. Look, this movie's bad. Watch it if you have the cock. Watch it on the cock. Rub the cock and everything. Get it up to 355 degrees and that got a bit weird. That would hurt. Always check with your doctor if you're going to rub it up to 355. I'm just going to get into spoilers here. Not that the spoiler section will last that long. But yeah, go ahead and watch it. It's just ridiculous and maddening. And the plot just consists of people going after a hard drive, and then they're doing this stuff, and then they're just suddenly over here, oh wait, we have this emotional attachment, we're suddenly friends. Are we friends? Who the hell knows? I don't think they care. I don't think anybody else cared. Diane Kruger looked great. Diane Kruger always looks great. But everything else about the movie, Lupita Nyong'o, she tried. Oh my God, did she try. But whoever greenlit this belongs in an institution. So yeah, it's on Peacock. Let me get into spoilers. Spoilers. Okay, so basically a lot of people die in this. The whole thing with Jessica Chastain's best friend that got shot. Oh no, he actually was brought into this government operation where now he's got a whole bunch of money, or this person helping him, funding this for him, has a whole bunch of money, and they're trying to get the hard drive. But then there's Bing Bing Van and her dad that have even more money. I have more money, and I carry a bigger stick, and I whip, and I use it too. And then also there's this auction where the hard drive's in a vase and everything, and they have to go here. And they also at one point have to torture a guy to find out where this vase is or whatever. And I need Diane Kruger to berate me while I'm tied down to a chair. Shut up. I'm perfectly reasonable with my fantasies. Also probably shouldn't have said that on camera, but whatever. I don't give a shit at this point. Penelope Cruz is like the timid one because she's got a family at home, but then she has to end up saving the day at one point. And yeah, Diane Kruger had a dad who was talking to KGB agents and then did all this shit that he did, and she ended up killing her dad or turning her dad in. And then everybody has a weird backstory. And then some people's best friends and loved ones get shot. And then they band together and they decide to shoot up other people. And then they kill Jessica Chastain's best friend, her former best friend, after he gets in a position of power in this weird CIA operative thing or whatever, and all these women kill him with an ancient Chinese poison, and that's it for the movie. Literally, this movie is a complete goddamn mess. I'm doing my best to describe the plot, and the plot's an incomprehensible, incoherent, ball of shit. It doesn't fucking matter. The shootouts, the action scenes, I'm not saying the stunt work was necessarily the worst in the world, but it certainly wasn't great. The camera work was shoddy. Everything about it looked like shit besides the pretty women in it, and that's really it. Like, honestly, that's it. For what good this movie could have done being a fun popcorn action movie, it was maddening and frustrating, and even turning your brain off, you would actually have more of a brain than the people that put this goddamn thing together. It's seriously one of the goddamn worst. Fuck this movie. Just fuck this movie. Fuck F. It's the worst thing I've seen this year. Worse than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Because that movie had no right to exist, but you're like, okay, there's at least a little bit something. You got some kills, you got whatever. I hated the movie, and I stand by everything I said about it. This is worse. I don't even have enough shit to say about it. F 100%. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.